Good morning. Good morning. Waiting on my folk to come in here. So y'all, this is my first time actually doing it from my phone. So work with me. Good morning, Star.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Good. How are you? Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. I can hear
Okay.
you.
So okay, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine. So we're just waiting for more people to come in and join us so we can have this nice little discussion on this morning while we're waiting on them. How you doing, Star?
I'm doing good, girl. We here doing dishes now. I had to.
Girl, you cleaning up at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Only because I can't find my auntie cup. I told Aaliyah, I said, let me get my auntie cup. And then when I realized I couldn't find it, I went on a cleaning spree. It's a tunnel. It's a rabbit hole,
Uh,
okay?
got it. Understood. That's too funny. That is too funny. I'm finishing up my rounds. I got my last baby I gotta drop off. We got somebody coming in. Hold on for 1 second. I don't know why he know how to get in here. Monkey man, you know you can bring yourself up, right? Add to stage. Okay, there we go. Lily D. Add to stage. There we go. Hey y'all.
Good morning, Mr. Monkey Man. Oh,
What's
I know
happening?
who already live. Good morning.
Get mining. We're all
Good
here.
morning,
We're all
Star.
here.
She put all them odds behind her day.
So, Monkey Man, this is Star. This is Lily D's best friend. We wanted her on the panel last night, but she was busy. She was occupied. She won't tell us what she had to do. All she told us was she she couldn't join us on last night. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe she'll be there the next week that we decide to do this.
Yeah.
So, can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Ev- Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I wanted to just have a little discussion today because after we got off of the Talk About It Thursdays with Monkey Man last night, it was a, and by the way, it was a really great show. I actually went back and looked at it again this morning just to kind of hear some points that I may have missed. And while I love the discussion about the solution, the question at hand for me is always, am I the problem? And I'm not just talking about in a relationship. I am talking about in anything. Like if I was in corporate America and I lost a couple of jobs and this and that and the other, I always have to go back and ask myself, was I the problem? So I want to hear from you all, like in anything in life, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, were you the problem? And if so, like what were the results?
Playing the game right quick.
What'd you say?
No, I said let me start playing the game real quick.
You know what? Okay, let me answer the question.
Thank you, Lily D. You can go ahead. You can start off.
Playing the game. Um. So, um, was I the problem? Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't want to just stay in relationships, but even when I first started taking care of my son, I would find myself to get agitated real quick. And I'm like, I know it ain't just all him. Like, what's going on with me? Why am I so agitated all the time? Why do I get to the point when I don't want to be bothered, even if it's my own child? And I realized that, yeah, I just had some issues I need to take care of from traumas and just even being like over stimulated. Is that what it is? Sensory overload. Like, I had to realize that it wasn't really him, it was me. Like, and I had to, that's why now I try to be a little careful, but with how I, react. If he is annoying me, I'm like, okay, let me chill out. Let me not just go off like I used to. So yeah, that's some of the things I could say. And even at work too. You're not gonna keep talking to me any kind of way. I done cussed out my manager a few times, but I'm not proud of it. But let me get off this microphone.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Oh, she just went dead. Um.
No, yeah, she said, let me just go ahead and drop the mic. Yeah, just probably thinking about even some more things. So go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Monkey Man.
Now, anything you do in life, you're gonna be the problem because you part of the equation. So whether it's good or bad, you still part of the equation. You might be the answer, you might be the problem, but at the end of the day, you part of the equation. Any decisions you make in life, you got to understand the consequences that come with it. And us being grown today, we might take our time to do things before we do it because we know, like sometimes at the spur of the moment, everything don't go right. So we don't want to deal with the consequences because we didn't. Okay, just like you say, going into business with somebody, I have to do research first.
You cut out at the end.
Nah, I'm trying to see what that noise was. Okay, sometimes we gotta understand that,
Oh,
like you say, going into business with somebody. If I'm going into business with somebody, I need to know their business background because I don't want to be mad at them because the business failed. I have to be mad at myself because I ain't do the necessary work to find out um was this person worth going into business with. So I feel like anything in is anything you do in life is your problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just how you deal with it. Anything you do in life is a. I'm not saying everything you do is a problem because I'm looking at it as a mathematical aspect. Everything is a problem. Two plus two, one plus one is a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just how we solve the problem. That's the thing about it. Towards the end, do I remove myself or do I add myself to the problem to fix it?
So okay. So basically, in other, not, and it's not a problem. It's an equation. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the equation. Yeah,
Everything is an equation, and you got to solve. In order to solve the equation, you got to break it down and whatnot. Okay, I follow you. I get that, and I actually like that. I like that concept because to me, what you just said is no matter what happens, you always gonna look at it. Either you're going to want to solve the problem, or like you said, remove yourself from the problem. So I like that.
right,
I like that.
right, right,
All
right.
right, Star.
hey y'all. Um,
Okay.
I feel like I've held myself back a lot of times from like being comfortable with being open with myself with other people. So I will be what they want me to be instead of who I am. Um, and I feel like a lot of times I was the problem when I felt like I knew the right thing to do, but I overlook the situation. I always try to look on the brighter side instead of looking at it, logically.
I am so sorry. My sound completely went out, so I didn't hear anything that you said. Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah. So I have a problem with looking at stuff logically, instead of looking at it for what it is. Um, and I feel like I've held myself back with seeing things for what it is. And I've also, I feel like I'm a people pleaser in a way. So, I've hid myself from being who I am and being more open to presenting myself in ways that can really be, fruitful to myself and others. So, yeah.
That's interesting, Star, that you say that, especially the point about being a people pleaser. So how did you identify with being a people pleaser, and what exactly is some of the traits of being a people pleaser?
So a lot of times I was like aware of myself just like doing things for others and not necessarily for myself. And then realizing I was doing things like the intentions of what I was doing.
Okay, and like what's some examples, if you don't mind?
Yeah. What's the example? Oh yeah, for example, I was over a friend's house, right? And I was helping her get moved in or whatnot. And so while I was helping her move in, I had shades on. But here's the thing, shades help me sometimes with anxiety, right? So here's where the people pleaser comes in. It's kind of like I ain't had the guts to let them know what I was really feeling, but I was just there and I was presenting myself, knowing that I was overstimulated. I was really feeling the day, and I was just like really putting the mask on, knowing I wasn't really feeling the day. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was there helping her move in, I just knew I couldn't do it, and I just knew that's not who I was that day.
Okay. That's yeah, that's definitely an example of it. So I'll answer the question myself. Like, am I a part of the problem? I know, and it was this is something that Monkey Man said on the live last night about becoming an adult and being able to identify. Because he was saying basically like, you know, the blind leading the blind. When you're a child, you do certain things you don't even know that you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what those actions will actually, if there'll be a problem or if they are good, unless an adult tells you, like, okay, good job, or an adult comes and the crazy thing is, and this is why this question is probably going to take a turn, and I can't wait to hear what you all have to say. The crazy thing is for me understanding. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, your
Okay.
AOL working today.
Oh, I know you did. The crazy thing is for me now understanding that even coming up as a child, I had adult figures in my life. My grandmother, my aunts and my uncles, church members, teachers, and all of these adults around me. But at 40 years old, I'm realizing like a lot of them were the problem because they were advising and teaching according to what they knew. And some of it is textbook, you know, like especially in church and in school. A lot of that is textbook, but the rest of the experience, the rest of the teaching comes from life. Like my mom and my grandmother and them, they were giving me advice based on their own experiences. So now as an adult, I had to be honest with myself and go back and decipher like what's true and what's not true. Or what do I need to unlearn and what do I need to actually, keep listening to or be somebody else. Like teach kids. My kids are kids that are coming under me. Uh-uh. I don't know if my signal is going in and out.
No, we can hear you. But I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We didn't know if you was
Okay.
done or not.
So yeah. I was done. So like, if anybody want to jump in there and just kind of piggyback or add to what I just said, or if it makes sense, like,
I mean, you can't fault your parents for. I'm gonna put it like this: me learning to be a father my damn self. Your parent, everything is a freestyle. Like we take a little bit here, we take a little bit from here, and then we try to ball it up with our little own. Like okay, like everybody make a hamburger the same, but a little bit different. You feel what I'm saying? You can add your ingredient, you add your flavor to it, whatever the case may be. So you can't really fault the parents or because they was shit, they didn't know what the hell they were doing, because some of it is rebellion from what they parents was trying to teach, then trying to force it on you. Now, um, as far as them being the problem, they didn't. How can I say that? It's not your fault or it's not their fault that they didn't know what they was doing. You see what I'm saying? So a problem is something that you, let me see how can I word this, because I want to say this right and make sense. Because here, I know what I'm trying to say, but it's not coming out right how I'm finna say it. But sometimes you don't know you in a problem until you, cause see, okay, so maybe the way they try to teach you wasn't the right way. Like you were saying, like okay, like the other night when we was on the phone on the three-way, it's certain ways you have to come at your child to explain things. You see what I'm saying? For them to understand it. But they'll rather whoop your ass because you're not getting it. Not saying that they're wrong, they just don't know. you're different because they was taught the same way. Everybody think forcing a child to do this is what is right, and that's not what's right. They just didn't know because that was the way they was taught. But the problem would be trying to carry on that same tactic with your kids. You see what I'm saying? And you can identify that your child can't learn like this. If you understand what I'm saying. Like I'd be
Yeah, you
like
making perfect sense.
you might have a child like I just asked Ashley to show me how to do the thing. You can now my partner been telling me how to do it, but I can't. I was even like that in school. I'm a hands on. I have to see, and that's how I learn. I can have a book of instructions. I'm not finna read that shit. I'm finna just put this shit together in my mind how I think it should go. Cause I'm not finna read it because my comprehension takes a while. But so if you have a child that you're dealing with, the problem be like, and this is a problem that we have with everybody. Just because this child can or this child or this person can learn this way or could comprehend this way, don't mean the next person can. And that'll be the problem to think in your mind and selfish to think that everybody could comprehend the same way. You see what I'm saying? But that's the only thing I could see the problem. Cause see my mama, even though she had to understand, cause see the first thing we want to do, and this is the problem. The first thing we want to do with kids, if they don't comprehend like everybody else, you want to say something wrong with them, and it's not nothing wrong with them. It's just they don't comprehend like that. So that's the problem right there, cause you already labeled this child as damn near slow. You see what I'm saying? And he probably be the genius in the whole damn family. You know what I'm saying? So it just the problem be the problem is what we make it.
Right. All right. Star or Lily D?
I did want to say something on piggyback on the problem is what you make it. A lot of time, I think it's nice to put in perspective, like you control a lot in life. No, I always kind of put that in perspective in life. Just for me, I like to just kind of give advice based on what I would do. Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was just saying that I was about to say y'all, my bad.
Um, to piggyback off of what Monkey Man said, I think me and CJ was talking about this before earlier or 2 days ago about the whole parent situation, and yes, people them putting their beliefs on their child, and um, I do see what CJ saying that parents can be the problem, but I see what Monkey Man is saying too. It's like, well, that's what they were taught, but it's like who's gonna take the accountability to stop the cycle, because that's what me and CJ was talking about. It's like a lot of people wonder why their kids, when they turn 14, 15, they a whole different person. Like, I can't stand my child, this, that, and the other. And some of that is because they want the child to be like them, like you were saying, Monkey Man. But at the end of the day, you got to realize just because that child thinks differently does not make them the problem. It's just that they're encrypted differently. And the problem comes in when you still try to enforce what you think is right for that child, or what you think is right for the situation, instead of just being understanding and open to another solution, I guess you could say.
Salute Cross.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
So just to bring you up to speed, I don't know if you were
Good
watching
morning.
in the
What's
back,
up, Paul?
What up with your monkey man?
They're playing this Call of Duty tripping.
Okay, a great show you had, monkey man. Hey, man, I want to salute to baby first lady, man. Tell your pastor, I really appreciate that word, man. I saw it.
Yeah, I'ma holler at him when I see him.
Yeah, tell that nigga, man. Hey, tell that nigga get his hair did though.
baby first lady messed that perm up. Baby first lady messed that perm up.
Yeah, the
But
pastor got baby first
cross
lady counting the money too. I heard.
right. We're just talking about I just woke up this morning, and which this is always like something that I constantly think about in every aspect of my life. And the question is, am I the problem? Now, that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, just depends on the person and how they look at life or whatever. And it's not a blame, but right now, we are on the we're on the part of the conversation where me being an adult and being taught, whether it was by my parents, the church, the school, somewhere, somewhere in there, somebody put their beliefs on me, taught me what they wanted me to know according to what they believed in. So I wanted
Right.
to know, does anybody feel like it's an effect?
Well, I think whatever it causes has an effect. Again, and every action has a reaction. We can't determine what the reaction can be from the action. I think we're all guilty of having that default because whoever taught us, again, whether it be grandmamas and them, um, you got an example. You done heard grandmama say, something about to happen. Death comes in threes and all this other stuff that we were used to, where we sit back and they talk about karma. And there's a lot of things that when you get older, you start seeing it. Because I think at that time that's just part of the growth of whoever somebody else was raised by, and it just shows you. Because if you look at the progression from grandmama and great granddaddy and all them, they couldn't barely read, but they can only show you how to use your body. And then as you get older, now our generation is trying to teach our kids anything like far as educational electronics to stay up with the game, and we don't even know stuff. So it's like we always constantly behind. I mean, if that makes sense.
Hey, can I pick it back on some old girl said the star on people pleasing? That's my problem because I gotta understand because when we had to talk last night when we was all on the phone, us cross CJ and whatever, that's okay. So in my addiction or in life, I had to please people just to get what I want. You feel what I'm saying? But
Right.
then when I got instilled in the word, I felt like I gotta please nobody but God. But God will put people around you that you have to please, even though you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because y'all made something. Y'all made me understand something that just hit me right now thinking about it. That if it's beneficial, yeah, you please the person. Not on no ass kissing, but to keep the business going. You see what I'm saying? To
Right.
keep the relationship of business going or friendship going. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But because at the end of the day, like I say, and I'm learning, you know, having having trust issues with people help makes it hard for me to be a people pleaser because at the end of the day, I want to see what your true intentions is. If you can deal with me when I'm fucked up, and because it's easy to deal with somebody when they straight. You see what I'm saying? Everything good,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying. The sun's shining, but when they in their darkest moments or misunderstanding moments, do you still can you still be that pleasing person to that person even though you see what I'm saying they doing something different. So I'm saying is how do you deal with people like that? Like when it's cool to please them when everything good, but when they in a fucked up mood and they don't and it ain't in the please, do you give them their space or what?
Can I
I
say
want to
something?
say, oh,
Can I
go
say?
ahead, Star, go ahead.
I want to say earlier, y'all. I'm sorry about earlier, but earlier I was really like, so the first I had this theory: if I say whatever comes to mind instead of just hiding what I really want to say, then I'll be able to say it. So I just said the first thing that came to mind, and I really got nervous about it, so I just started stuttering my words or whatnot. But um, I do appreciate you saying that. What's your name, sir? I can't.
Monkey man.
Monkey Man, I do appreciate you saying that and having that understanding of what it's like, because sometimes it's just hard to get it out and say, say what it is, and really, because I feel like I got the theory. If I say it, then I won't be able to have the fear of it no more. That's my theory. So I
Hmm.
feel like this is an open opportunity for me to get things off my chest of what I really felt like I had problems with, and I was dealing with. But I can really say when I deal with a lot of people throughout life, I can really see a lot of times like it's everybody's the same thing, the same way in a lot of ways. We're different in a lot of in a lot of ways. But yeah.
And I like what Monkey Man said, and I iterate a little bit on that, and expound a little bit, because like he said something that was powerful, and that was coming from that conversation, and CJ had to show me that, and I had to tell, like, far as that, like with me, and she said, well, Cross, what is it with these things? What do you feel like when you dump and you pour into people? And I didn't understand what she meant by that. But what had happened is I've also built a what you call it, like a bridge or a fence around two at the same time, because what I've been taught, like Monkey Man used the example. He said, man, in his addiction, he was used to being trying to be a person pleaser to get what he wanted. And that's very powerful, because I never really heard it like that. And and then he went from being a person pleaser to taking that same type of way of addiction, or whatever you want to call it, to being a God pleaser and just doing it for God. And I think a lot of times, like he said, I think that's where the communication coming in, because you don't really know what somebody's intent is, even if, like he said, even it can be a good thing or a bad thing. That's pretty deep. I never looked at it like that.
You
And
know,
that's what I want to piggyback on and understand. Like, so it's a play on your words. A lot of times, it's a play on the words and your understanding. People pleasing is wrong. Like, you don't do anything to please people. Everything that we do, we're supposed to be doing it for God's glory. So when we're chasing the pleasure of the person, that is when the intent is wrong. But there's also a form of manipulation that can get you to actually believe that this person has the best intent for you. That's why, like we said on last night, self love and self worth is everything. Because what it is Monkey Man, it's the respect of wanting to do business with a person that actually allows you to have that relationship. Not people pleasing, but you do have to show yourself trustworthy. So if we can understand that it's a difference in trusting somebody, you actually gaining somebody's trust versus people pleasing, if that makes sense.
right.
No, no, no. That makes good sense. I got a question in your mind as Monkey Man. So that when we had that conversation, like you say, and you've told me before, man, sometimes you got to say something and then it'll hit me. So when you heard what I was saying, it did. So it never dawned on you, looking at it from the other side of the coin. You were just, again, does that come back to you wanting what you want out of the situation? I'm just curious to know that, because that's a good. I didn't never even looked at it like that.
Say that one more time.
Okay, like when you told me, man, with this person, I said, I get that. But then when I told you my scenario, like you told me the other day when I
And
was on the
don't
phone.
use
Yeah, yeah,
names. We're
yeah.
not using
No, no,
names.
no,
Just
no,
remember the
no,
scenario.
no. Yeah, yeah, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. No, no. What I'm saying is, when we were having a conversation, and I used my situation of what I went through, and when I talked to you the other day, you said, "Homie, you just didn't know." I was quiet, and I was like, "What are you talking about, bro?" Because that hurt me. That hit me, because I never looked at it like that. You say, I just looked at it from, hey man, I'm doing this. I'm over here doing what I'm doing, but not taking in the fact that, damn, this affected you the same way how I feel affected now.
Yeah, because you got to understand how I'm okay. So how I'm gonna look at you as a people pleaser, but I'm trying to get you to please me. You see what I'm saying?
That's deep. That's deep.
So I had to be like, well, damn. I had to look at the mirror, because one thing about me, especially being the only child, I'm selfish. So if I
Mm,
don't get in my way, I'ma act different. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I say, and I'm glad she brought this up. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It's not child. It's that I'm not trying to see it. We saying, hey, don't look at the ugliness of the tree, but step back and look at the beauty of the forest. I'm just looking at the ugliness of the tree. I'm not looking at the whole spectrum. I'm not
Mm,
looking at
I
everybody's
like that.
situation and everybody's feelings and what everybody else got going on. I want what Monkey Man want because that's how I am as a person. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we'll take, cause see, so this is another thing we say in AA. We'll stop smoking drugs and start smoking people, which means if you
Mm,
don't give me what I want, I'm gonna smoke you. Then get away from me. I don't want you around me because I'm not getting the pleasure I want. You see what I'm saying? We take one addiction and get another addiction. So right now, that's why too I have to be careful with being in the spotlight, being on these platforms because my ego will get in the way. And if you look at anybody from the P. Diddy situation, everything that's going on in Hollywood, everybody's people pleasing until it becomes a problem. When
I
we could
like
have,
that.
Say
I
that.
like that. That's deep right there. I like that. You
I
just gave.
love that. I
Man, that
love
was
that.
cold right there. That was cold. I never. Yeah, you gave me something, and I appreciate it. That's why I told you the other night, even when CJ was on it, and I told you, man, and I told CJ I appreciate her doing it because I did again. I'm This is something I'm learning new too as well, and me having to maneuver like we say, quote unquote, blind man shuffle through this industry. I'm very cautious because again, I'm not knowing. I'm just taking it for for face value. Like, okay, this is what he went through because some of my people went through. But then what I did not do, again, it goes back to like you saying, being selfish. Where I was selfish was the simple fact was I never really sat because again, I always looked at somebody's personal situation, but I also know it was a very strong impact in your life. And instead of me sometimes and us just speaking regular, I should ask you, you know what I'm saying? How's your day going? Because that's part of your program instead of just me looking at it like, oh, he fixed it. That's the way
yeah,
I looked at it. I just, okay, was nigga back at it. He fixed it. He said he don't do it. And I take that word for face value. I take what somebody say. I don't double back. If you say this, and this, that's the way I take it. But then I also got to remember, yes, the good intent is coming out of it, but then I got to think about what you went through to get back to being that good person, if that
but you
makes
got,
sense.
but you got to understand. Y'all got to understand. It's not the drugs. It's the behavior of the addict. The
Got it.
drug is the drugs is to cover the behavior of the addict. Now y'all seeing the real me because I'm butt naked honest. Y'all seeing the real me. I have nothing to hide behind. So
Got you.
whatever character you see, that's not my that's my character defect that I'm working on. Cause I didn't know like that. Cause like I told you, even right now with her saying like I say, like even her with her saying about the people pleasing it, and we had that conversation what 2 3 days ago. I
Yeah.
fo- I identified.
If you,
I
but,
didn't. Go ahead, man.
I would say when you get when I get a chance, you can keep going. I ain't gonna stop you though. It's when you
I
say.
I identified my character defect. So my character defect is I want to be pleased by people
Mm,
when I want it my way. I'm
mm.
not. Yeah, I don't. I'm not trying. You know what I'm saying? I'm being selfish. So now that's a red flag on me that I need to address and
Right.
fix.
Right.
I also want to say a lot of times it's like us also when you're in the right environment around the right people, they'll also show you a reflection of you. It was like what you really need to work on, what things you need to obtain or do differently. It can always be different in different ways. Like I also believe that a person just doesn't do it just because of their ego or because of certain things. I think it's also based off where their comfortability is, or which way it goes, or sometimes a person just never learned to really find themselves, and they're just learning to find themselves in certain ways too.
Mm.
Um,
So I think
I
it's
like that. Huh?
I was about to say, I think that life is always like a process. You know, you just never know where someone's starting and where things are going.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually love the fact that you said people around you, because again, Lily D and I, we talk about that all the time. If you and I, decide that we're going to be friends, we make this connection, and I'm never able to give constructive criticism or vice versa. That is a problem, because I don't want, I say this all the time. I don't want yes people around me.
Definitely.
Fact.
Definitely. I want to be able to communicate and not have to turn into an argue or debate. It has to be something we can come together and really agree on and be comfortable with.
Yeah, sorry, my sound had dropped a little bit, but you know what?
I'm sorry.
Um, to go back to earlier, when I was talking about like the influence of the parents, and I don't want nobody to think that I'm saying, I have an issue uh with the parents and the mistakes or whatever that they made. But one thing I love to discuss, especially in adolescence, is being rebellious. And a lot of adults don't understand where rebelliousness comes from. If you're raising a child and you never allow that child to develop into who they are by constantly just making them do what you want them to do, you have to see you are the problem at that point. And the reason that that child grows up and now there's a distance, or they're constantly talking back to you, or they are actually going out into the world and looking for other things, becoming people pleasers or this and that and the other, is because the value was taken from them because they didn't have a voice, or they didn't have the opportunity to develop while they were under the parent. Because a lot of parents, again, not their, I don't want to say not their fault, because I believe when you know better, you do better. So whether they tapped into it or not, but while they were over here trying to figure themselves out, and then just living vicariously through the child, or demanding the same behavior that was instilled in them, which is you do what I say, you do what I tell you to do. But those kids, they have voices, those kids have their own minds, and their minds develop just like we develop. So that question, am I the problem, like I definitely reflect on that so hard, because I feel like a lot of the mistakes that I made is because my mom and my dad were doing them. So I'm out here living life, listening to certain things, being told you better not get pregnant. But what was the sit down of the why? Like, when was the talk? Where were the details? What was I actually searching for in the world when I decided to go out and have sex at 15 years old? There was something that was missing in my atmosphere, or something that was pulling me back or pushing me out. And so at that point, the problem does lie on the people who were raising me up. But now, as a parent or whatever, wanting to change that dynamic, I always ask myself in anything I'm doing, am I the problem, so I can identify with something that needs to be changed within me?
Now I like prime about this times. I think a lot of times.
Is it just me that can't hear,
No,
or what?
yeah, it's breaking up. I was about to tell him if he breaking
Oh,
up.
okay.
My folks and
Cro-
them, they didn't really do. They
Cross,
didn't. They didn't do. They was, huh?
you broke up. Can you start over? Because you broke up in the beginning.
Okay, my bad. I was driving
Oh
to
no, it's
the
okay.
store. So what I was saying was, he being a graphic design artist, right? I'll give you an example. Back when I was growing up, they didn't have stuff like Pixar. Started animation, right? So I started learning that stuff while I was in school. So when I graduated from school, I had, could have went and played ball, but then I wanted to be. I used to tell my old man that now he's doing nuclear work, and he's telling me the only time artists makes money is when they die. Now this is what I was taught growing up. So I took that and put that on the back burner because to me, I felt like, because again, as a young man, and I explained to him the other day, I hadn't talked to him in 7 years, and me and him had a conversation, and I told him it was warranted because my thing was, bro, if you had to learn something that I liked, and I think that's a lot of times with parents, that's why I get involved with my kids. It's a lot of things. Last night I had to go, y'all was on live. Well, I had to go to this choir thing. My son's in the choir. I'm thinking to myself as a man, bro, why is you in the choir? Like, you could be playing ball. You could be other his sisters laughing because she's in all sports and stuff. She's like, Daddy, this whack. I'm like, we can't do that, baby, because this is what your brother like. Instead of me saying, man, that's dumb, bro. Ain't no real dudes doing that. Because again, what as parents, instead of us sitting down having patience, like you say, we focus on trying to fix our lives. But I'll never forget a woman told me, baby, when you had them babies, that's when your life starts. Not when it start, when you missing out is when you start, because that's when you become the adult. And no matter what you do, you have to remember it's not them babies' fault. And I had to learn that. And that's why I said, now here it is. The same thing my father, I told him, here it is now. I'm in my 40s. Something that I wish somebody had just took a time and encouraged me. And no telling where I would be at with this drawing thing. Now, the same thing that God gave me the gift, I'm doubling back doing on the back end. Because no one wanted to take the time. Because again, we're so focused, like you said, on us and wanting to get our life together. But at the same time, this child is sitting there, or like you coming up with designs, or like you said, your mother saying there, or your father saying, or people saying you're going to be pregnant by 15, is because they did not know how to break that curse. So that's the only thing they would say. But they don't realize when they're saying that, especially spiritually, they're speaking negativity over your life.
That is absolutely correct. And it's so amazing to me to go back and see how the curse of the tongue and how it flowed and it existed and it was so normal. It was
Yeah.
so normal that you wake me up, you want to take me to church or whatnot every day, and that's fine, go to church all the time and whatnot. But then whatever you're pouring these things and speaking these things into existence. And so I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna be like Monkey Man now and cross. Now I gotta throw a monkey wrench in there.
That's right.
If we now have this understanding of the mind frame of being kids, and while you make decisions, then when you become an adult or you do these different things, and that there was just there was some more development that needed to occur in relationships now, where we're trying to identify the problem between men and women. Do we have a different outlook now, or do we continue to blame one another?
Anybody want to speak? I don't think, and I'm just going to say this and let everybody talk. I don't think we have a problem now. I think what it is, again, is the fact of not knowing. You said something a long time ago when you was on there with me and Charleston and us, and I told you to be transparent. A lot of times as parents, they get old enough and we go through our stage of maturity and we forget that we were kids and we did the same bad things. And then we try to preach to our kids and telling them that they ain't gonna do this and they gonna go to jail. Like, think about in our culture alone. How many times have you heard people say when a child leave or your child leave, even though we're so concerned, we actually instill fear in them. We say, man, don't go nowhere. Don't be having a bunch of people. You're going to go to jail. Police are going to get you. They're going to lock you up. Say all that. But ask yourself in other cultures, who says that? Because I know a lot of people, they tell me, man, why would y'all say that to y'all kids? Because I would be afraid. You're instilling fear. And in our culture, because we don't know, we turn to fear. Everything is based around a fear, a perception of fear. Man, don't do that. Man, you can have, just like you can have an old lady that can preach. That mean they can fall out in church and speak in tongues. But you say, hey, I need you to come visit me. Baby, auntie don't fly. Wait a minute. You just said the good Lord got you. Yeah, baby, I'm scared to fly because they don't know.
I kind of also want to speak on the childlike mind situation. I feel like everybody has a child in them somewhere. You get what I'm saying? And we forget that child somewhere. So if we just put our mind in perspective of children, they overlook a lot of things. Sometimes we see it as a bad thing, sometimes we see it as a good thing. But they really look into perspective, and they really put you in an environment where you know you can really trust children these days. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll just be comfortable. So it's okay to put ourselves in a childlike mind and remind ourselves we still have a child within ourselves in a way.
Yeah,
I
that's good.
I I,
I'm gonna come back to that after Monkey Man speak.
I had no, I had missed out on what's the question.
I changed I changed the flow of the conversation to say if we have an understanding of that our upbringing, and then even like you said, you know, the drugs, it was because of the behavior. So when we take all of that and we bring it forward to what a lot of conversations these days is, the relationships and why it's not working between, you know, the men and the women, do we have do we still continue to blame one another, or do we have a different outlook on what's being asked of each other in these relationships?
See, the reason why it's a whole lot of blame because I refuse to look at myself. That's why it's a whole lot of blame. How in the fuck I'm in all these messed up relationships and I'm the person in the messed up relationship. Now, if I'm in a messed up relationship with my friends and I'm in a messed up relationship with my woman and I'm in a messed up relationship with my job, it must be me. It can't be everybody else. So, like, okay, so it's sometimes, and it's the best thing to do. Sometimes you gotta isolate yourself, and I call this a cocoon period. You gotta cocoon yourself and look at your
Right.
damn self. You gotta look
Yeah.
at yourself, bro,
I snap my
because
fingers.
some somewhere either we try to subconsciously block it out or all the way block it out is that I might be the motherfucking problem. Cause ain't no way from your mama all the way to adulthood, different people saying the same thing about you. Everybody say you don't want to listen, or you always got something to say. Your mouth is you got an ugly mouth. You see what I'm saying? And I've been hearing this shit all my life. So I have to really, and then into adulthood, I have to sit back and be like, well, damn, maybe it is me. Let me see. Let me start subtracting some things that I do. Cause like I told y'all, that's been a problem. I will go the fuck out. I'll wake up one morning and just go the fuck out because I didn't like yeah, like she say, because I've been really people pleasing instead of like CJ say, we need to address this shit before it becomes a problem. But I'm the type of person that'll compress to the point where it's gonna explode. Now I done took everything out on everybody, and really this ain't even got nothing to do with you. See, I blow up because it's a piece of paper on the floor. Nigga,
Right.
that ain't the problem.
Can I
That's
Now,
say
not some
Monkey
other
something?
Man, let me ask
No,
you this,
same
Monkey
here.
Man. Let me ask you about this depression. Were you made that way, or was that something that you just developed on your own?
go back to the parents. It's the same thing I seen my mama do.
Okay,
Mm.
all right.
Can I
Go
say
back to the
something?
parents. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
When
go
you
ahead.
really learn to isolate yourself, it's a lot of clarity that comes with that. And I feel like I don't want to just BS with that, but it's a lot of clarity that comes with isolating yourself. You really sit with yourself and really start asking yourself, because it's like you get to a point. It's really like being on drugs and being addicted to drugs in a way, because it's like you get to a point you're addicted to a lot of ways, and you sit with yourself and you just like, wait, this is really who I am. Then I'm not comfortable with myself. You're not comfortable with sitting with yourself, and it's really a thing. So I
And
really
I'm
feel like yeah, it's really like, and I feel like I'm glad we're all speaking on it, because I feel like I can really relate to it. And I'm glad, like, this is really something I feel like I need to hear.
Cause see, I'm gonna tell you something. This gonna be always the problem in our culture in relationships because black men do not want to get in tune with their self. They do not. A lot of black men. I ain't gonna say all of them because hell, I had to start get. But I learned this from women in the program. I had to start getting in tune with myself. Because first of all, a man either okay, we providers, we're protectors, we're gangbangers, we're this, we're that. We never found out who am I as a person, the real me, who is the true me. Because for years I done put on all these damn masks. Cause one thing, and that's why I say I listen to a lot of women podcasts, and I know they talking to women, but it helps me too because it helps me understand my wife. You feel what I'm saying? And how to deal with her. And okay, well, like the other day when I showed the red flags of men to being blunt. Yeah, I could be blunt sometimes. So I have to pause before I speak because what I want to say off the shoot is gonna be hurtful, and because that's how some Scorpios is. We just shoot off at the mouth, don't give a damn. Because I'm that type of person. Like I say, I'm the type of motherfucker a shoot off at the mouth and don't give a fuck about how you feel. You see what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that, and I'm ready to fight behind it. But really on the cool, and I'm not gonna lie, deep down inside, I know I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, hurt people hurt people. So I'm gonna use that excuse type shit. You know what I'm saying?
I like what you just said too. You said something earlier, Monkey Man, because CJ said something about like with parents and stuff, and you said something about, man, I watched my mama when it came to pressure. Now I got a question to ask you. And a lot of times, even with we as kids, because we got that parent that, and I tell my daughter all the time, quit playing on your mama. You know you're playing on her. So because you looking at it growing up, did you think because the only person that when it came down to whatever it was, that person listened to you was your mama to the point where you said, well, the hell with anybody else. Long as mama believe it, I don't care. I can come up with anything. Yeah, I'm just asking you, like when you was going through that stage, because we all know as mama's boys, mama believe anything. Even though she knows some bullshit, she'll believe anything. Was it the fact that even at your worst time, do you think that if I'm just asking you, when your mother was there, do you think you wish she had called you out, or did she ever call you out?
Yeah, but I stand on my lie. I'm
Okay.
standing ass through ass whooping and everything. I was just a fucked up individual. Yeah, she gonna call me on it. You know what I'm saying? And she'll know I be lying. Then got called red handed lying, and I'm gonna lie to protect the lie. You know what I'm saying? And it just became a part of my DNA. You know what
But
I'm
but
saying?
but
Well,
that's
my
what I'm asking you. Was she the first person that when I'm asking you, like, where did you perfect that? Because you said even though you lied, you stood on the lie. So was it the practice on practicing on mama? Or was it other people where other people started saying it? Because again, a lot of time we think we getting over, but some people just don't say nothing. They just don't say nothing. So you perfected it. I'm just asking because you said you lied and stood on the lie. And I know your mama didn't teach you that. So I'm just saying, where did you perfect that? Where was your flaw at where you think you started perfecting that? Where people
I'm
actually you
gonna
got
tell you,
good?
tell the God of the truth, and Ashley, Marilyn Ashley said this yesterday. I think it came from my daddy because my mama wasn't like that. I think it came from even though he wasn't in my life, we still pick up our parents'
That's
traits
right.
regardless. You know what I'm saying? And he was a lie. He could be a lying motherfucker sometimes. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Right.
Especially
Right.
and as far as, hey man, I'm gonna come see you, or that type of shit. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm,
and I
So
had to understand.
you became the abuser.
that's right.
Yeah, I became my father in certain
Right.
ways with my daughter. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, baby, I'm gonna get this for you. And no goddamn well I ain't got no means or no way to do it, but I'm trying to say some shit to please her, but I know I'm lying.
Mm,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
pretty deep. That's deep. So you knowing
That's
you have
good.
no intent, you ain't got no. She said, "Daddy, da da da." You like, yeah, baby, da da da, and you done forgot about it and walked off.
Yeah. Because
Hey,
I knew I was lying from the jump.
yeah.
I'm trying to just brush her off type shit. You know what I'm saying? And
No,
and and
that's good.
and what I didn't realize. So back to what you're saying, parents can be a problem and create a problem inside the child because that became a problem with me and my child because now she don't believe shit. Because it used to hurt me. Like I tell her, and I'm really finna do it. I'd be like, "Yeah, baby, I get." It. She be like, "Mm-hmm." Just
Mm,
that, just that. Mm-hmm. Nigga, that mm-hmm said, "Nigga, you not finna do a motherfucking thing." You know what I'm saying? And then I had to start doing it because that just her saying it like that hurt the shit out of me. It touched you inside your chest. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all understand what I'm saying. That shit touched you inside your chest, like, oh shit.
come on. Come on,
You
man.
know what
I
I'm
know
saying?
it's, I know
So
it's that's why I said it's deep because now it makes sense. When I'm talking, you even CJ said, Monkey Man, you be busy doing other stuff, but now it makes sense because every time I call Monkey Man, he going to go do something. He's taking somebody something. He's going over there. So now it makes sense with the people pleasing aspect of it. Now I'm getting you. Yeah, it's just, good looking out for CJ. So CJ had to tell me. She had to tell me I'm not opening my mind and looking at stuff from a different perspective. And I appreciate for that because now it makes sense now. That's why every time I call him, like, bro, you not listening to me, bro. I'm gonna call you right back, bro. Bad, bro. I gotta go do this, and he'll be middle of the thing. But I understand he's trying to please everybody at one time, and that's where I can see where any nigga I do that sometimes. That's why I said you just made me reflect. I do it
And it's
sometimes. Go ahead, CJ.
it's crazy because for me, like I'm a very understanding person, but Lily D will tell you, like, even this time frame of her knowing me, I'm quick to cut somebody off. But I was like, I gotta start working on that because you can't cut somebody off when you know that their intent is to be a good person. They're just trying to develop the communication skills with you. And so the like even bringing awareness to the communication between us, like that was a little bit of work for me because I'm like, man, look, man, my nerves is getting bad. Like I don't like this because I am developing into the woman that those were the things that were missing in my life. It's a lot of things, a lot of relationships. Uh-oh, sorry, y'all. It's a lot of relationships that probably could have been saved with me and in my time had I had enough patience, had I had enough understanding to know as long as you can see that that person's intent is good and they not trying to cross you because of my trust issues. The first sign of some bullshit, I'm like, no, this ain't no, can't be around this person. I don't want to understand you. But Monkey Man coming in my life and then Cross being in my life and Lily D being in my life, it really made me see everybody's intent ain't bad. It's just sometimes it takes just a little bit more understanding, just a little bit
Right.
more if a person is able to be transparent.
No, that's deep. And I got a question because I want to. Now I'm curious with Monkey Man because I told him one day, and if you can, Monkey Man, I told you I want to set up the interview with the pastor when we get a chance. But yeah, yes. But what's blowing my mind about it, like I said again with Monkey Man, I see where it comes from as far as him being the pleasing. Like he said, he'll wake up and realize, damn, I done did all this. Now I got a question to ask you, Monkey Man. Do you think it's kind of setting you up for a fail because I noticed that you pleasing people. Now, what I was always taught, and I used to be the same way. That's why I learned when I told CJ I kind of fall back because I used to be like that as a youngin. But what I realized was you can't please everybody and you pick and choose. But then that means that could be the gift and the curse because you can pick the wrong thing. So my question to you is, after you've done all that, does that automatically, like, say, man, this whole week you doing stuff for people, the first time you don't feel like you reciprocated anything back, then that's when you go off?
mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay, let me identify. Let me
Yeah.
When it come to me doing stuff, I do stuff with people that I can. I Okay, so like they tell you, don't ever give somebody something that you can't afford to give. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, not
That
before the good blues. Yeah.
so so when I'm doing stuff, it's only for family, and the only thing I want back is love. That's all, and I want what I get back is seeing everybody happy when it comes to family. Now, when it comes to outside people and me doing stuff for, first of all, we haven't built a love yet. You see what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is, I don't even know you enough to really, okay, I don't mind doing this for you, but at the end of the day, like I say, the only time I go off is on the internet. I used to, now don't get me wrong, let's take it back. Let's take it back before I became who I am today.
Hmm.
Yeah, I used to, hell yeah, and I got partners right now that'll tell you, I didn't lashed out on them because bitch, I'm riding for even on my some of my gang members, nigga. I done put in work. I done did this. I done did that. But nigga, when I got a problem, it's different. So now you
Right.
don't want to ride. But nigga, I roll for you. I'm taking penitentiary chances for you, but and putting my life on the line. But when it's my turn, dog, I got this to do, this, that, and the third. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying? So like when okay, just because a person got beef with me and I see you fucking with them, now we got beef. Not knowing, well, let me sit down and talk to you before, cause see, I react before I get you
Right.
know what I'm saying, before I
Right.
get the story, and I'm reacting off of what I'm thinking I'm seeing. You see what I'm saying?
Fact.
Not saying that's what it is. So at the end of the day, like okay, with my daughter, when I first got back in her life, and the big book tells us sometimes we set ourselves up to be hurt in the future. I came
Mhm.
back in her life buying, 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 buying. Whatever she want, I'm buying it. So then when she got used to that and I don't have it and I tell her no, I don't get the reaction that I want. Cause I'm
Right.
thinking she supposed to understand because I ain't got it. But now, nigga, you had it every time. So how you don't have it now? They kids don't
Mhm.
understand that. So what I'm saying is I only do today, I only do for people that I know I'm gonna get the same, I'm gonna get it back. You feel what I'm saying? Without a shadow of doubt, I don't even have to guess. Like when we do stuff together, Cross, I know you're gonna shoot that love back on the podcast. Hey, go check out Monkey Man. Hey, he goes
Right.
some merch. You know what I'm saying? But with me, and I had to understand, see, like I say, I had this shit been really marinating on me. But with me beefing with certain motherfuckers, and I got trolls coming over here to my page, this, that, and the third, then I'm coming. It ain't that you ain't fucking with me, you ain't fucking with the baggage that I'm bringing. If
There
you
you
understand,
go.
you
Now
see
that's
what I'm
real
saying?
shit. And that's what I was trying. I appreciate you sitting back thinking like that. And that's all I was saying. I said, man, I just, at the end of the day, and I've told you that. And that's why I said I think we relate more than what I think we understood each other because again, that's all I want. I want everybody to win, but I don't want the bullshit to come with it. And I've learned to been done, like you said, been done so wrong by helping people. Like you said, prime example, me helping a lot of people. But when I reach out, that's why it's hard for me to reach out to people because I've had it in the past. When I reach out, oh, it's 1,001 excuse. Well, I ain't really got it. But then it's like, well, damn, bro, like I did all this and did all this. And all I'm asking is for something, what about me? I used to always say, man, what about me? And people like, man, what you talking about? And I'd be like, all right, never mind. Almost to the point where that's okay to happen to Cross. Man, Cross, all right. Man, Cross got merch. Man, Cross can do this. Cross can do. They don't realize that's far from it.
Just like I'm going through right now. See, like I'm saying, I'm learning in relationships. So I'm always talking about what I'm gonna do for my daughter. So my wife was like, "Well, you never say what you gonna do for my daughter." I'm like, "Man,
Mhm.
what the fuck?" I'm like, "Damn, what the fuck you talking about?" You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
now I feel some type of way because, and she right, but I'm only feeling some type of way because, and let me tell you something. This is how men do, bro. I feel some type of way because you called me on my shit. That's the only
Real
thing.
talk. Real
That's the
talk.
only
That's
thing
the
I'm
truth.
mad about because you called me on my shit. That's why I told you if anytime y'all correcting or saying something about me and I get quiet, that means you right. I have nothing to say. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Because
Right.
shit, I see it. I ain't under like, and I'm like, damn, and I'm thinking in my head like, yeah, you know what? I ain't never asked baby girl. You know what I'm saying? Do she want anything or this, that, third? Go ahead.
Right. Because again, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Queen.
I'm sorry, I was about to say, sometimes, I really feel like I need to hear this. So I'm also quiet and just sitting back too, y'all. I want y'all to think I'm just sitting back,
Right.
and just
Yeah.
anything. Okay. I'm just sitting back and listening, but I do agree with
Okay.
what you're saying. I
Yeah.
do
No,
and cross, I really appreciate we got to the point about sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But what was you saying? Could you repeat what was you saying earlier, just so I can piggyback on it, just a little bit on it, because I had it, but I had lost it, just a little bit on, just touches on.
Okay. See, yeah, what Monkey Man was saying was, especially when it came to the situation, him not having the same balance with his wife's daughter. And the reason why, because I was a victim of the same thing, even with my son, my oldest son. You know what I'm saying? And what had happened was, I think, and like Monkey Man saying, he had got so in tune with trying to fix the wrong because he was so it's like you're playing catch up with somebody you don't know. So he's trying to build a relationship instead of him having a conversation with, hey man, I failed. Now I'm gonna tell you, because Monkey Man don't hear us as men. I know what he's saying. What he also saying from a point of view is like, well, damn, you're not putting that other man in the position to make him do that. But here's the thing about I realize it takes anybody can be a father, but it takes a real man to raise somebody else's child. So what happens is Monkey Man has been put in this position because he's a good man, and there's a lot that comes with it. But we're also trying to fix ourselves, so it's kind of confusing sometimes because you're like, man, damn, well, this is my child, but at the same time, that other child, it came with a package. That's what you signed up for. So then, therefore, you got to find the balance. That's why when she caught you off guard, she allowed you to do that. But after a while, it became to the point where, like, damn, you don't see nobody else but her in here.
Right. So it goes back to what CJ's saying. Am
Yep.
I the problem? And I'm the mother.
Now I do want to say this, and this is I'm hearing a lot, and there's, and I'm not saying that this is the situation, but I am this person to be aware of the other side of the perspective as well. Don't ever let, especially when you are a person who are aware and hold yourself accountable. There's a such thing as a manipulative individual on the other end, knowing that you will always hold yourself accountable and look at yourself. So then they start throwing all these other different things at you, which, hold up, I'm gonna get there. Because if I'm a person that matures and thinks about everything that I'm doing, don't think that there's something under the sun that God won't allow me to see and work on within my development. Now, I'm saying this to say this: the credit of of you being in your daughter's life is what it definitely should be celebrated, because that's a relationship, like you say, that you are building back up. It's not that you're not thinking about her daughter. It's the fact that trying to make up over here and trying to make
Right.
sure that, because see, and I hope this is not taken the wrong way. uh the love, you show love to the other, because you keep the grandbaby. Y'all there's other stuff that is done for the daughter. It's just every single thing doesn't have to be, well, if you do this for yours, then you got to do this for this one over here. That is not, that is not the way that has to go. Because here's the thing: if that relationship was to end today between you
Right.
and your woman, her
Right.
and her daughter are going to go on. You
Right.
and your daughter still have to have that
Right.
father daughter granddaughter relationship. So it is the security that you're doing, because at the end of the day, you are supposed to be looking out for this one. I don't want to say more, but that's your responsibility. So
Right.
Right.
everything that is offered to your daughter, some things are not going to be taken in account for the now, like Cross said, understanding that the relationship that you all are in, y'all did decide to take on each other's children, but there is still something that only a parent can do for that bloodline.
Right. No, and I like what you said, and like even what you just hit on the head, and I think that's what Monkey Man, because he said something. He said what hurt him, and that's what he's fixing, the hurt. Because again, him as a father, hearing the reaction, just like it would hurt him even more if he was helping her, and he agree if he was helping her, and then the daughter say, "You ain't my daddy. Why you telling me that?" That will hurt too. So he's stuck in the middle because all again he's a pleasing person, so he knows where to please and what not. Like he said, he's working on himself, but he's also mastered
where to please and where not to please. The problem is now he's vulnerable because, like he said, he's getting caught off guard of where his fault is at. And he said, wait a
You know
minute,
what?
but I know him as a person, good-hearted person, because he does everything. He just he don't look at their faults. And that's where a lot of times it's hard because like damn, if I sat back and look at your faults, yours will be the same. The difference is I just don't say nothing.
But you know what? I'm glad you said that because now you done brought something to the forefront. Am I pleasing your daughter or am I pleasing you?
See that?
Because see, your daughter ain't saying shit. You know what I'm saying? Your daughter ain't saying.
But listen to and it's that's so
Watch it,
funny.
man.
And again, it's not to say anybody is wrong. It's just to
No.
identify so you, monkey man, as a man will know how to continue to develop. Because guess what? This is when they talk about a man being a man in the household. Like you just said, is it you? Or is it your daughter? Now, when you say your daughter ain't said nothing, now this is another thing. Me being I had a stepfather and I love that man. Oh my God, that man was so good to us. But I didn't start talking to him about certain things until I got older.
Right.
When I had a problem with him and what he would make me do, clean up, and I can't go out this, I go run to my mama. My mama wouldn't
Right.
say certain stuff because she
That's
didn't want to
right.
cause a problem with him because
That's
my
right.
mama was using him for her own benefit. You understand what
Come
I'm
on
saying?
now. That's real talk.
And the
And so what you do is you get caught up in this crossfire of do I say something? Do I not say something? Because right now the benefit is me and this man making this household work because I do need his help. I do need
Mm.
him in this house as a man.
And then I'm gonna tell you something too, though, and I just thought about it because me and her daughter done had some conversations like I felt like she should have had with her father. You feel what I'm saying? So that was
Mhm.
like, cause you she my wife talking about material shit like you don't never ask her like when you go buy stuff you don't ask her do she want anything. First of all, I know your daughter. She don't never want nothing, nigga. You ask her do she want something. She don't want nothing. So it's like what I'm asking for just for her to tell me no. You know. So but when she come to me and talk, I don't never say no. You know, we break it down, we figure it out. You see what I'm saying? So
Eh,
I mean, yeah, maybe me and her need to have a sit down.
Right. And I'm piggyback. I think what it is, if she comes and talks to you, again, like you said, you're not looking at, like you said, you're looking at the ugly tree and not the forest. For her to be able to get to the point of comfortability to talk to you is deeper what she's looking for. Now, what again, we just talking about it. Now, what your wife could be looking for is something totally different. And like you say, you don't get that reaction, but you got to remember you're not her daddy. So she can't come to you fully. And maybe she's trying to do that. Maybe there's some things that she's got built up and couldn't tell her mama. Maybe you could be the outlet. There's a lot. That's why you got to think about sometimes when they go outsource, like you say, go out outsource looking for other people or other validations. What happens is they'll get it from anybody. And maybe she just thinks that your word is warranted, but it's not fair to you to put you in it. It needs to be organically put. It needs to
Yeah,
be because other than that, it's artificial and it's fake.
yeah. Because now that I'm sitting here, I would feel like I would even feel different if she would have said, "Well, my daughter told me," because this ain't what we said. You see what I'm saying? This how she feel now, and I done told her because she like it's like because I do this for yours, you got to do this for mine type of shit. First of all, I didn't even ask you, and sometimes I be telling you don't. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you do it. You see what I'm saying? But that's probably that's another subject right there. We'll get on the. You know what? We're gonna
Right.
have to. That's gonna be another topic for
Yeah,
another
and
day.
but it is imperative because of what we're talking about right now. And this again, this is just all in the am I the problem? Because as a woman, if this were my relationship and we're having this discussion right now, the first thing that I would go back and say after hearing the different perspective, I literally would say, now, am I putting some stuff that I was missing in my childhood into my relationship? Because one key thing that you said, the materialistic, like I know for me, I don't care about stuff. But there are a lot of people who I talk to that put the value on materialistic items to say that this is how I know whether you loved me or not. And if that's the thing that was missing in their childhood, when they grow up and they have kids, the first thing that the kids are going to actually put value on is if you buy me shoes, if you buy me this, if you get me that, because that's what the parent is teaching them.
My
So,
bad.
oh no, you're good. So, like you said, that's a tabled conversation for another day, but it does go back to what we actually have been talking about the whole time. Am I the problem, even as a parent? What did I take, and what am I still dealing with? And what have I healed from? That when it comes to me raising my children, am I going to project that? Like for instance, my daughters. I have two daughters. Am I going to tell them that the only way that a man loves them is if he can buy them things? Now, I'm not saying this is what's going on in your home, in anybody's home, but if I instill certain things in my children, those are my beliefs. So then, when it comes to them making decisions for themselves about if a person cares for them or not, they're gonna look at that. They're gonna look at what actually. I'm sorry, Cross. I didn't even know you had dropped off. They're going to consider that unless they're taught something different. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes
Hold
sense.
on. Hold on. I got back on Call of Duty. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Now watch.
Well,
So, I have a question. I have a question, CJ. Do you
uh,
believe a person can learn on their own, or do you believe it has to be someone to actually teach them?
no, I definitely believe everybody is capable of learning on their own. But the important key factor for me is unlearning learned behavior. When you unlearn what you have been taught, and you actually heal, you go through your healing process, and now you basically strip yourself and be this open-minded individual. Learn you, so then you will know things that actually add value to you, or what is important in life for you to continue to move forward with. Because reality is, like y'all said, everybody said it, life is different for everybody. That person, that woman that likes the Birkin bags and says this, and I want them red bottoms and this and that, it don't make her a bad person. She just got to make sure that she has somebody in her life that feels the same way that she does, and
Yeah.
and and vice versa.
Right.
A man that says, "Nah, I need this, man. I gotta have the nice car. I gotta have the J's, this and that." That doesn't make them a bad person. That's just what they value. So they have to make sure that they have people around them that value the same things,
That's
because
true.
that's where the conflict lies. I
That's true.
can't be around nobody who just feels like material things is all happiness, because that's not my belief. That's not even who I am as a person. I know that things don't make me happy. It's the heart, it's the mind, it's the spirit.
No, you're right. And like you say, being around those people. And another thing too, I can tell like with Monkey Man, when it comes to pleasing, and especially when it comes to his wife and the ladies in his life, he even said it even with his daughter. He said, "Man, no matter how much I get mad, like I'm gonna do it anyway." And I think that's where Monkey Man, like even with me in your conversation, where and you have to be more um open to be vulnerable, to be honest and say, "Hey man, I just don't, it's nothing, I get what you're saying." Or you just have to tell her like what CJ said, "Well, can you break that down to me? Why do you feel like that? And what have I done to make myself better?" Because again, you saying you're seeing it from your eyes. If you're doing all these things, maybe those things you're doing is what you want to do to please. Maybe it's something else that, and maybe they just know you well enough to say, well, he's not going to go for that. Or or her saying that, you want an understanding. Okay, why would you say, I don't never do that? And that's where, instead of you being upset and like you say, compressing, that's the time us as men is supposed to have an open dialogue and say, well, what do you mean by that? Explain that to me, because you might be misinterpreting what she say. Because what she said from that phrase, you can spin it 8 different ways. But this is why I hate when people, and this one thing about people is that whatever's, if you communicate with somebody, that's what they're saying. You can't insinuate. You're not long distance. Y'all in the house together. So for you to insinuate that she said something that you might have thought was negative, I don't think it is. Even when you do stuff, I don't think it's negative. Like you say, it's just how you feel. So again, the feeling and the logic for you is you got to separate that as a man, the logic, because the logic, you still are the head of the household. You cannot cause chaos, because if there's confusion, God is not present. So he's
Right.
giving you understanding to, like us having this conversation. It should be, you should be able to communicate with her and say, I don't like that. Same way when you say, hey baby, you want to go over here? I don't want that. You don't say, well, why you don't want it? You should just say she don't want it, because you give her the benefit of doubt. But on your end, you want to know, because again, I didn't know that you was a people pleaser. So now it makes sense, because you want to understand, well, what did I do wrong? Well, damn, I did this. And I don't want you to think that you're the problem, because maybe you're not the problem. Maybe the communication could be the problem. It could be a mutual thing instead of a one-sided thing.
Yeah, because okay, so like in any sport or anything, we try to find the person weak, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm sitting here thinking she know that's what type of person I am, so I'm gonna throw this out there to get what I want out of him because of what I do for his. Yeah, nah, we finna have a good sit down and talk before anybody go to bingo. We finna sit down and talk.
Right.
Anybody go to bingo because yeah, you're not finna play on my emotions like I'm just really neglecting your child and this, that, and the third. When I know motherfucking well if she asks me, because one thing about it, I don't have to ask my daughter. She asks me. See what I'm saying? That's how I am, bro. I don't. I'm not a I like bro. It's a lot of shit I don't know because I don't ask, and if I want to know, just like okay with the StreamYard thing, Cross how you do the StreamYard thing. If I don't ask you, you ain't gonna tell me. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Facts.
So same thing with a person. How you know your daughter even comfortable with me asking her shit like that? You see what I'm saying? Like how? Because that's something you want done. You know,
Right.
so you know, and I like you say, my whole thing is because everybody say my delivery, I gotta. So what I have to do now is get into my space today and ask God to tell me how I need to come off by this because this probably was something I needed to hear because I ain't realizing like okay, because see, you're not finna play on my emotions. We not finna do that. You see what I'm
That
saying?
that right there, like, and this is for everybody because again, when you get to breaking down and asking the why, the questions why and am I, and I do that for a reason because what it does is it allows you to identify with if you need to create more healthy boundaries, or if you just need to continue to work on some things in yourself because if the key is to develop but you never go back and you ask certain questions,
That's right.
how do you know what the transition is? How do you even know if you're growing as an individual? So with that being said, like you said, Jermaine, this may have been something that you needed to hear for yourself because guess what? It's either going to be for the good of the household, the marriage, the kids, or it's going to be for the good of your own personal development. But either way, you're going to get an answer to the question. And I say this all the time, and this is nothing against anybody. If I had to tell my mama, I take back my value from you, and there is no more of me needing your validation. See, I identified that my mother was the first root of my real issue. I love my mom. Me and my mama cool. When I say this, anybody don't think I'm talking about my mother. But
That's right.
I was able to identify that my mother was a manipulator. My mother
Yeah.
manipulated me for years. that is where my trust issues and everything would come into play. That is when I actually, at some point, I was the opposite of a people pleaser. I couldn't stand people. You're not going to get
Right.
close to me. You're not going to get next to me. And I'm going to pay attention to everything that you're saying and you're doing. So the
Right.
moment I see something that I feel like you're trying to manipulate me or you're trying to make me shine myself down so you can, people identify with your flaws before you do. Let me say that. Let me backtrack a little bit. A person who preys on somebody, like you said, hurt people, and anybody with hurt, regardless of if they're trying to do it on purpose or not, they can identify with somebody else's pain and their weakness. So even if a person loves you, all of us have taken advantage of somebody at some point. Even our kids take advantage of our weakness at some point until we say, hey, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, and you better stop. Because if you don't stop it, we're going to have a problem.
That's
So
a fact.
if kids are smart enough to do that, why don't we look at the fact that even if the person is in our lives and we love them, they are capable of doing it too. But that's why healthy conversations are important. That's why knowing yourself is important because you can still have that relationship. It's just a way to identify the problem and make it healthier.
Hmm.
So when you, because I realized I developed a lot of traits from my mom, and I realized it's not something I necessarily wanted to.
Whoever's talking, the volume is low. Whoever's
Excuse
talking,
me. Hello, can y'all hear me?
I can hear
we
you.
can hear you now.
Okay, I was saying that I developed a lot of traits from my mom, right? And I feel like I can have an understanding of what you're saying with that because it's like with a lot of trust issues and stuff that I will have with her, being strict and feel like I have to have control with a lot of things. It's a lot of way I have to. I feel like I realize I have to separate with myself. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know, how did you get to a point? Like, what point did you feel like you had to look at yourself and realize I set boundaries? Did you feel like you had to separate yourself from your mom when you did that, or did you feel like that was something that you dealt with?
Well, for me, it came a great pain. Losing my brother just really kind of just changed my whole identity, my whole mind frame because I had lost the other part of me that would always. My brother he was younger than me, but he was my strength, right? He was my everything. Like whenever I had a problem, I could run to my brother and he'll be like, "Look, sis, man, don't worry about that stuff. You stronger than that. You better than that." So when I lost him, I ain't had nobody to run to. So I'm
Right.
like, God, what do I do? Because I need you. I need to know how to continue to be able to identify with my stuff so I can move on in life. Well, through prayer, through therapy, and it's so crazy because even like I was on Instagram one time, and this girl got in my inbox. She was a reader, the people who do the readings and stuff or whatever. And
Mhm.
so she was like, I want to let you know, like, there you have a root on you. Somebody put a root on you. And I'm sitting here like, man, I don't play them games. So I'm praying, God, I need you to reveal. I need you to show me, da 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 da. So it was, long story short, it was a matter of me wanting to heal myself. My boundaries came when I decided that I needed to step up, deal with my hurt, because if not, I was going to lose myself completely. Now, the part that I lost about myself was good. But once I started identifying with the root of my issues, and the biggest root was my mother and our relationship, it was hard as hell, Star. I did not want to hear that my mom was the reason I had trust issues. I did not
Right.
want to hear that my mama was the reason that I was study running to these nothing ass niggas because I'm
Right.
chasing love, and I'm chasing the love that I didn't get from my mother. And so every time somebody says, I love you or I like you and this and that and the other, oh, you do? Because guess what? I wasn't hearing that shit from my mom. She was telling
Right.
everybody else, but she was never pouring into me because come to find out, and when I say this, I want y'all to hear me, the message in entirety. Like, I really had to accept this. My mother was a young mom. She didn't step up to the plate like how I did when I had a baby at 16. My grandmother raised us. My mother was still able to go through life freely, still partying, still da da da. So when I came and I had this baby, and now she telling me, this your baby, you got to do what you got to do. Guess what I did? I stepped up to the plate. I didn't get everything right, but I did the very thing she told me to do, which was the opposite of what she did. So you know what that did to her? Now she's starting to look at her values. She's starting to look at herself. And now there's this sense of control that's coming out of jealousy.
Right.
And nobody could ever convince me that my mother, my own mother, was jealous of me. But I had to pray about that thing, and I had to go and really just ask God to make it make sense so I can let go of some things. And what God revealed, my mother loves me, but yes, she was jealous of of her not having the strength to do the things that I did in my life with my children. And so when I went back, when I identified with it, and I went back and I told her, Mama, I love you. You know, I've always wanted you to look at me in a certain light, and this and that and the other. I told her, I said, but no more of me seeking your validation, because seeking your validation is where I lost myself, and I allowed certain things to happen in my life. So, Star, my advice to you is go back and sit and actually deal with identifying, first of all, your triggers. When somebody does something, what about it that they do that makes you upset? What about something that you hear somebody say makes you upset? Then that'll lead you back to another why. That'll lead you back to another why. And it's hard. It took me years. Like, my brother's been gone for 7 years. The past 2-3 years is when I really just kind of started identifying with more things that I needed to accept and change within myself.
No, you
I felt
salute.
like I've gotten to the point where I've identified my triggers. Like, I have enough time to be able to sit with myself and really sit and realize, like, okay, not only are you a people pleaser, but you got to a point where you just like you don't trust it. I don't trust anyone. I'm gonna be honest. I have bad trust issues. So when I say this is speaking to me, this is really speaking to me. Like, I really kind of have bad trust issues. So it's just
Right.
like I'd be thinking to myself, like, it's many ways I can just like look at things. Like, people are actually trying to help. It doesn't have to be a situation where I have to go at it in a negative way. Some people will deal with things differently too. So I can always look at the way people do things. It's the same, a way of like attacking me type thing. I had to sit
Right.
down and really sit with myself with that. But when I was like really looking at the way I looked at self stuff, my mom and stuff, I was just looking at like,
Yeah, like even like you saying, and salute John, and appreciate you coming on here. But yeah, like what you start like, and CJ hit it on the head, and that's why I said I hadn't talked to my pops in about 7 years. He hadn't seen me. We had a conversation. He hung up. That was it. Now that crushed me because my mom then passed away. He doing what he doing, and I'm trying to understand. Like, I never had no because as a young man, a lot of the boys do it a lot. We try to seek validation from our father. So everything I did, I'm thinking that that's the way. So him to give me my props, he would tell and I had a conversation with him. And one thing that CJ said through this whole thing, it hurt her but she had to separate herself like I did. It took this long time to validate myself. So when I went and talked to him, I had to understand his background. Now it's not more of I have sympathy or aha, but like she said, like I thought the same thing. Prime example with Monkey Man, the self-validation come in, like he said, the emotional part, even with me, even me talking to him, the trust issues he had, well, we had to get on the phone for a few hours for him to get an understanding because these are questions that he dealt with in the past. So what you start, that self validation, because trust, you're gonna. I mean, hell, you trust when you go to work that they're not gonna fire you. So it's different types of ways where that's a trauma, or like CJ say, a trigger for you to go to that route. Something happened, because if that's the case, you wouldn't trust getting in the car. You wouldn't trust going to grocery. Because trust is a umbrella of things. So it breaks it down where like she said, there's certain things that trigger you, or somebody say something. Yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, they did that. Yeah. And then you just take it and you umbrella everybody, instead of, like you saying, going into more of a self validation of, hey, I know who I am. I'm not. This is not gonna hurt me, or whatever the case may be. Oh, salute, John. My bad.
Peace and blessings to the kings and queens of the podcast. How y'all be today?
How you doing?
What's that?
Good.
What's
Salute, John.
happening, brother?
Great, great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining, y'all. We probably got like about another, 20 minutes, because I don't
That's
want to be
cool.
on here crying and stuff or whatever. But so, Ja, you walked into something, and if you want to go ahead and add on, please feel free to.
Yes, I always do the knowledge and listen carefully before I elaborate on any subject. Um, but just speaking to what was just shared, because I've been listening for the last 15, 20 minutes. Um, as I mentioned to you prior to this, CJ, trauma is just it's for a moment. It's supposed to be a second or an excerpt of life that you absorb, you experience, you recover, and then you go on from, meaning that you grow from. Anything that you experience, these moments in life, are just activities that we must go through. Go through meaning that we have a completion of the term, but we have a forever lesson. That lesson becomes our wisdom, and that wisdom becomes our experience. So we experience our traumas, but we should be responsible for recovering from our trauma. And that's being corrective instead of condemning the source of the trauma.
That's good. That's good right there. You said. Could you repeat that that last part right there? The condemning. You said.
Right. We should be found once we recover from
Mhm,
our trauma. I'll give a brief illustration. You
Mm.
and I, have a fight. We have an argument. That
mhm,
argument leads to a physical fight. But prior to the fight, we had an established foundation of love, whether it be through experience or through actual emotion. However, if not both. However, that foundation of love was ignored in the moment.
mhm.
In the
Yep.
moment, we created a harm to each other. The harm that was created exacerbated into a physical state that created an extenuating trauma. And we know that once a person hits another person physically in an argument, that experience sometimes lasts far beyond the pain of the moment. So
Even from
mentally
a
and
even from
emotionally,
a even from a verbal too, as well, from
well,
physical
well,
and
well,
verbal.
it's all damaging to the emotion.
That's
The
right.
emotion is just an aspect or a compartment of the mind.
That's
That's
it.
why your feelings are just thoughts. However, thoughts exist within the infinite, which is the mind. So when you have that experience, case in point, if anyone have ever been hit in a relationship, and I have, you always have this undergirding fear of the person for reenacting that initial incident. That's called trauma.
That's it.
So you are responsible to recover from that trauma. The person that did it to you isn't responsible for your recovery. Any person that's in the outside, any auxiliary entities, they're not responsible either. You are responsible for your recovery. However, once you recover, then you correct the one that's initially responsible for the trauma, and don't condemn,
That's right.
because that only shows and prove only at that moment it shows and prove that you have matured beyond your moment of trauma.
That's a fact.
That's clear enough, CJ?
I think CJ bounced out. She probably come back in. She probably trying to get back in.
True indeed.
Hello.
But
Yeah, Star, you were saying something,
I
Queen?
am so sorry, y'all. My the thing just totally blacked out. I don't know if it's because we've been on here too long or whatever,
That's a
but
good
I,
thing.
I
That's
yeah,
right
I
there.
heard everything, John. That was great. You definitely hit the nail on the head a couple of times on that one. So, Star, if you were saying something, you can go ahead.
Um, I was about to ask, how do you put yourself in a position to not condemn what the root of the trauma is? It's so easy to do that, you know. It's so easy to get to a perspective of being able to see things from anger, where you just, kind of.
That's where
it's
forgiveness comes into play.
right. It's a part of your recovery. See, when you recover from something that's traumatic, um, I'll give a simple illustration. I was shot at a young age, and when I was shot, um, it damaged certain aspects of my vision. So I couldn't see for a while, and I was a boxer at a young age, so I couldn't box. However, I had to recover from that trauma and rehab my physical handicap. Now, once I did that, I had to make a decision. Was I going to repeat the process to get shot again, which was the foundation of my trauma?
Right.
And in my ignorance, I repeated the process and got shot again. So I had to learn to first deal with the source of my trauma, which was self. I had to use the self accusing spirit. The sister said that her mother was young when she had a child, and she had to learn to understand that her mother followed a path or a process that she was educated and conditioned and reared not to.
Right.
And in that, she corrected her mother's mistakes. That's why she shouldn't, or hopefully don't, condemn her mother, because her mother had to walk a path of ignorance that she
That's right.
chose. However, her mother was willfully loving enough to partake in her the lesson of what she should not do, which is what she did.
Come on now.
Now I'm living the same path. My mother was deported when I was 5 years old, so I wasn't raised by her. And then I became a father at 13. I went to prison, and my daughter, her father disappeared. Now she had a lot of condemnation for me, and it was very emotionally traumatic for my daughter. And it took nearly 24 years for us to repair a relationship. And I had to wait 30 years for my daughter to tell me it took her 30 years to learn that she had an amazing man as a father. Now, all that trauma that we went through was well worth it for me at that moment. And I went through some hell.
Right.
However, my daughter went through even more because her father made an erroneous decision at the age of 13, which was to conceive her with her mother. See, so that was the source of my daughter's trauma. And I had to go back to that and use the self accusing spirit and relieve myself, one, with forgiveness for the person that shot me, two, for the lesson that I had to learn by being immature in my decision making and creating a child that I was responsible for. However, I chose the wrong path and I went to prison, and my daughter suffered just like the sister's mother chose the wrong path, and she walked away to her that the sister had to be raised by her grandmother. So the sister emotionally suffered. And because of that, we are now held responsible to recover and repair ourselves, but then correct those that are in the path that we have already walked and in the path that we are leading so that they don't make the mistakes that we have. And that's the benefit of your recovery, to prevent others from suffering the same trauma in a different way.
And I'm glad you said that. And I'm gonna piggyback on that. That's what I was telling Monkey Man the other night. We were talking, and I said, spiritually, the way I see it, and we were talking about the whole thing, the pastor thing. I said, man, you're about to break a generational curse because you had to go back and fix what you messed up. But now you're going. It's like you went in the past. You're trying to go in the future, but you're stuck in the past. But you're going to fix the future because you're breaking a generational curse with your grandbaby. So no longer will she have to go through that, and she'll see what a man and what everybody that your daughter didn't get a chance to see. And he's like, wow, I didn't see that. Yeah, you're fixing it. You're doing what your assignment is. You're fixing the assignment.
We all have one, but after all of what you and I just said, Cross, we got to remember that the order of God is at the foundation of everything that we should be doing. And if we do anything absent of that, we can expect failure or an extreme trial in our pursuit of happiness or success of that.
Right.
So we have to deal with our self-accusing spirit, bro. And that means dealing with the God inside of you so that you can start exposing that which is wrong with you. If we don't do that, man, it all starts with you. And at the source of all things is the essence of all things, which is God himself. So we should be trying to be one with ourselves, bro, before we be one with anything, anyone, or anything else. And that's the source of it. Trauma is always temporary, my brothers and sisters.
Hello?
Hey y'all. So I gotta go ahead and end the live. This has been great. I appreciate y'all, everybody. Y'all want to go ahead and say y'all last words? Okay,
Pastor, you think
let me ma'am.
I was asking Pastor, can you say a prayer?
Who would say that again?
Do you think Pastor can say a quick prayer?
Girl, what pastor?
What?
Monkey Man?
Monkey Man, oh no, that's Flo Dollar.
Yeah, yeah, nah, that's a character right there. I ain't no real pastor. I'm not a real pastor.
Well,
Oh,
well, he is
She said, girl,
anointed
what
now. Now
pastor?
we will confirm he is anointed now. He is
And,
anointed.
and
He
he
is.
he still can say a prayer. You don't have to be a pastor
Come
to
on,
say a
Monkey
prayer.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
get it. Let's do it, Monkey Man. It is on you today, man. It's on you.
Let us bow our head, every eyes closed, every head bowed, every heart open. God, we thank you for this lesson that you brought upon us to give to CJ to bring to us, Lord. Thank you for all the help and healing that you have given us to, better ourselves as people. Working on ourselves, Lord, is the thing that you want us to do so that we can not just help ourselves, but maybe help somebody else that needs the help that we receive, Lord, and fill that void in their life, Lord. And I thank you for bringing Cross, Jai, Miss Star, Lily D, and CJ in our lives, Lord, and help us through the day. In your name we pray. Amen.
amen.
Amen. Love y'all. We
Amen.
out of here.
All right.
Love you as well,
Peace,
my
y'all.
brothers and sisters.
Man, I
Peace.
can't put my cash out.